Well, hello, I'm Ross Aiken. I'm Old Who.
Clear all the tangerines up. Pick them up, all of them, Iain.
I'm Ian Martin. I'm Wilderness Who.
You know, no one really likes the tangerines, don't you?
I'm Mark, and I'm all of Who.
Dare you? That's my signature gift.
Okay, fair enough. All right, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. With Vic taking a hiatus, I'm lucky to have guests. I've already had Jason from Trap One. I've had Melvin Pena, who is a wonderful guest. And now I have Ian from All of Time and Space and Mark from Trap One. And at the end, I will let you guys plug away all your different projects. But we're here to discuss. We're recording this in April, but we've watched A Christmas Story, The Last Christmas, which is this Capaldi's second Christmas special? First Christmas special.
I wouldn't say first.
Yeah, it's his first Christmas. Well, no, was his regeneration on Christmas?
I mean, yeah, okay, so he appeared for about 30 seconds on the last Christmas special.
Yeah, I got
If you're going to be pedantic.
I know, it's just, that's my thing, is some of these Christmas specials are regeneration stories, and it's like, why? Don't do that, because you're killing somebody half the time.
Yeah.
It's not a very Christmassy thing, traumatizing, because, someone's losing their favorite doctor, and it's going to hurt, and you're doing it on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
It's more of an Easter thing as we record it at Easter. It would be more topical for Easter. They should do Easter specials of the regeneration story, shouldn't they?
Oh, yeah.
They really should.
Very good.
Yeah.
Or I have yesterday work. I was getting texts from work people, Happy Easter, and it's like, and someone called me. He goes, "Oh, you don't celebrate this, do you?" I said, "No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm a godless heathen. I don't say the Jesus Zombie Day, which is like
I celebrate chocolate in all its forms and at all times of the year. It's what Christ would have wanted.
But see, that's same in this household, but it's the day after when they're half price.
Right. Yeah. That's what the thrifty Lord would have wanted.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm not a believer either, but yeah, again, the tradition of chocolate is a good one. But there's a couple of Easter references in this story as well, because that's the Doctor's kind of sign off when he first meets Santa is Happy Easter, isn't it? So watching it yesterday, I thought,
I forgot the Easter joke. Is there the Easter claw or something like that?
There's about 10 Easter jokes.
Yeah, but the Easter Bunny and
No. Well, I'm gonna plug in the synopsis and all the pertinent kind of data for the story, and then we're going to get on with the discussion. Last Christmas. Story 8X. Writer Stephen Moffat. Director Paul Wilmshurst. Executive producers Stephen Moffat and Brian Minchin. Originally aired December 25th, 2014. Clara Oswald is in for one Christmas Eve she is never going to forget. Reunited with the 12th Doctor, she faces what possibly could be her last Christmas. Something sinister lurks in an Arctic base at the North Pole, and it's beyond even the most terrible, nightmarish creatures the Doctor has faced before. Who you gonna call? Santa Claus. And that is the very brief synopsis from the Doctor Who Wiki page, which they got for IMDb. Please, Paul Smith, write another episode guide. So starting with Ian, because this is what do you let me ask you, are you a Capaldi fan? Is this here a fan you like?
So conveniently, I've just done this for Strangers in Space, and it's a difficult answer. I like Capaldi the actor. I like what he was trying to do. I don't like his era. I don't like the stories. I don't like the story arcs. I don't like the production. It's a difficult era to love.
Fair enough. I like the era, but I think his first season is the roughest for me as a viewer of all of Modern Who. I think it's inconsistent. I think there's, I've said it 1,000 times, the chemistry between Sam Anderson and Jenna Coleman, it isn't very good.
No.
It isn't. And it's nothing to do with them as their talent or what they're given. It is actors have chemistry.
Yeah.
Or they don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
I would say the Series 9 is my least favourite of all of New Who. So between us, we've covered his first two. If only Mark despises Season 10, we've got it all covered.
So yeah, what's your take? Is this a season, or a era you like?
It's an era, a series, a doctor, a showrunner, everything that I absolutely adore. Peter Capaldi is my favourite 21st century Doctor, and I love all three of his seasons, and I particularly love this story. It's one of my favourite Christmas specials. I think this one and A Christmas Carol are my two favourites.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. Christmas Carol's my favourite because it's the most Christmassy, and it's got got Broadbent in it. It's the companions are kind of shuffled off to the background. And the characters just for that story are very engaging. I'm a huge Moffat fan. I love his ear for the most part because Matt's my favorite modern Doctor. But I understand. I like wordy actor. He writes for actors. He doesn't write for. I think Moffat doesn't write for his audience. He writes for his actors and himself, which a lot of showrunners of other shows that I like. I'm a big Aaron Sorkin fan. He does it. Whedon did it. Davies does it in a way. Davies, I don't think Moffat has a meter, a rhythm to the way he writes, and he expects his writers to write. And so, and Whedon and Sorkin do. I don't think Davies does. I think Davies is, heavy-handed in a bad way, but he writes what he wants you to say, and you're going to say it. And if the people he's hired to write something doesn't write it the way he wants to, he will just rewrite you, which is. Others do it. So it's a form of script. It's a form of giving he wants a consistency. I don't think Moffat cared about a consistency. Does that make sense? That every episode should feel like it was written by the same people. And so I get why he bugs people, because he really leans into flourish, and sometimes even I go, okay, you missed a plot. Like, I hate Kill the Moon, which isn't one of his, written, but to me, it's just like, wow. So, but I get it. But Iain, do you like this one as a Christmas special?
Well, obviously, with the caveats that you view the Christmas specials slightly differently from normal episodes, then it works, I think, if you're an 8-year-old or if you're drunk, then it's a great Christmas Day treat. It's soft and gentle, and it's got Santa in it, and it's got elves, and it's got Rudolph, and it ticks all those boxes. If you're watching it as a serious episode of Doctor Who, then I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I get that. I was entertained by it, but I think do we judge Christmas specials differently? Should we judge them differently?
I think you have to, because I think the intention is to broadcast something that literally 20 million people might watch. So it's got to be lower stakes. It's got to be, large C Christmassy, and it has to be uplifting and kind of slightly saccharine, I suppose, to me.
Yeah. I don't think this one is saccharine. It's a little dark, but but Mark, you were going to say something?
I agree. I think it's got to be more accessible and broader. You can't have a very continuity heavy Christmas special, generally, or anything like that. So I think it's got to be something that a family or someone can sit down and watch at Christmas and just be entertained by the story. And I think this one in particular draws from so many different sources of sort of popular movies that it's going to be quite accessible to people on that basis, isn't it? Because of it's a bit like Alien or Inception or The Thing and that kind of thing as well. So it's got kind of a shorthand in that way, I suppose. What I'm trying to say, that it makes it accessible.
Yeah, there's a lot of genre name dropping in this, kind of tying it all up. The Thing. I'm a huge fan of The Thing. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time. And I was like the Alien. And it had it had a big name star. I mean, I guess Nick Frost is classified as a big star.
I thought you meant Faye Marsan.
I guess she is, but I didn't know who she was then because I didn't watch Game of Thrones.
Did she do so? This is my big question for the end. But Did she do this before she was casting Game of Thrones or after? I don't know which way around it was.
Probably same time.
Because her little to-do list with the Thrones marathon was either inspired or uncanny or just quite funny.
She may have gotten cast and they threw it in as a gag because she had to do her homework for the show. 'Cause she was only on it for like a year, wasn't she? My wife's a big Game of Thrones fan. I've watched a few seasons, but kind of bowed out.
She's just popped up where I say we're rewatching it. I'm rewatching it. I'm inflicting it on my wife. She's watching it for the first time, and Faye's just turned up in series 5.
Is it that late into? Yeah, she was in. It was really odd. I'm a big fan of Star Wars stuff, so she had a big part in Andor, and she was really good in it. But I forget she is made to look so tomboyish in this that she's not very tomboyish. She in no way, shape, or form. Because everything else I've seen her in is like, oh, that's the little mousy girl from Last Christmas. But she's really good in that. And I'm a big
very good in. Yeah, she's great in Andor, playing the sort of the dual, when she's on Coruscant and she's the sister of the senator or whatever, the kind of high-ranking diplomat. But then when she's part of the rebel plan to do the heist against the Empire, she's got to be very different as well, because obviously nobody can know who she is. So I think that playing that role the way she does is brilliant in Andor. I thought she was terrific.
Yeah, it is, because she has to be two different people because she's part of the Resistance and she's undercover at times. So I like this one. I was entertained by it. It has the problem that it has on the lower level, like some Christmas specials, like David Tennant's End of Time Part 1, Matt Smith's last episode, which isn't, they're not, and some even others that aren't very, because they tend to kill them off at Christmas, and Christmas is just kind of wedged in there. And this one, it's broadcast on Christmas, and you have Santa as a character, but the story really has nothing to do with Christmas. And I think that was kind of the problem with a lot of Christmas specials, except for a few of them. Like Christmas Carol, the Narnia one, because I always get the name wrong. But so it is, which I enjoy, because I like the mom and I like the kids, and that's a good thing. If you're going to give something for them, I think it's a good idea in these things to give us a companion just for the episode. And have, like, if it's Christmas, put a kid in it, because Christmas is really, a holiday for children, not for, they get the most out of Christmas. And, so I think that's why Chibnall was like, I am done doing Christmas. Because what's left to do?
It's true. I mean, it is when RTD started doing them, you could see how you could do 2 or 3 quite easily, but by the point we're looking for a 10th, 11th, 12th idea for Christmas, it does become a bit, let's have some tinsel in the background and, make the best of it. But even RTD's Christmas specials, they were very Christmas. They were clearly shot in July because everywhere was very sunny outside.
The sun was out, Yeah. You could see the actors in all that winter clothing going, I'm going to pass out.
Yeah, everyone's got beads of sweat sticking out.
Oh my God.
And tan lines.
I've done Christmas plays where you're under hot lights and you've got winter coats on and it's like, I'm going to throw up. I'm so hot. But yeah, I just don't, I think Davies leaned into them because for us, we do not have new television on Christmas. It is not our tradition in this country. People don't watch TV at Christmas. It's just, you do, but you'll watch It's a Wonderful Life for the 40th time, 50th time. And stuff like that. We'll watch old stuff repeated. But our Christmas specials are on in November to get you ready for Christmas. Right around Thanksgiving, they start showing Charlie Brown's Christmas. And, and before cable, you would see Charlie Brown Christmas every year, basically the same day. But we don't have that. Everybody sits around after Christmas dinner and watches television, and then 4 or 5 shows do a big Christmas special. you maybe watch a Christmas parade out. I think the one of the Christmas parades, the one on Christmas Day, is out in California. My wife makes me watch the Macy's parade.
Yeah, ditto.
Oh my, awful! It's like I hated it when I was a child.
Luckily, I can watch it with my earphones in and a nice sensible bit of podcasting going on. So I just point at the trucks and go, ooh.
I did an edible this year. And it made it.
That must have made it brilliant, though.
Oh, the bad lip syncing of the musical numbers. It's worth it. But it's. So I think RTD leaned in that and I think he's showing it now that he's the showrunner again. He's got a little bit of John Nathan Turner in him. So he uses it a way to market the show. It's it's like it's Christmas. We'll get high ratings. Maybe we'll get that new 6-year-old who's being, let's watch Doctor Who because the kids want to see it, So he sees it as just basically a commercial for the show in a lot of ways. But this one, I like aspects of this one. I like the cast. I like Nick Frost.
Right.
I'm a big fan of the Cornetto stuff. It was nice to see it's Michael Troughton.
Here's Fletcher Dervish.
Yeah. I've never seen him as an actor, I don't think, before.
Oh, no, he was, so when I was growing up, there was a sitcom called The New Statesman, and he played a sort of bumbling, overweight idiot of an MP, sort of neatly presaging Boris Johnson by 20 years. And that's where I know him from, and that's what he will always be to me.
I get that. Every actor is like, I know there was an actor named in this country called Howard Hessman, and he would always be Dr. Johnny Fever from WKRP, even when he played a school teacher, and he had like 5 sitcoms, but he's always that first one. Mark, what do you like this one overall? Are you entertained by it? Do you get something out of it?
Yeah, it's as I say, it's one of my 2 favorite Christmas specials. I really like it a lot. I think watching it again, I kind of remembered that when it was first announced that Nick Frost was going to be in it playing Santa, even after 50 years of Doctor Who being on the air, you've no idea whether they are going to make Santa an actual character in Doctor Who, whether it's going to be, a construct as it is. Most shows you could say, well, if it's Star Trek, it's going to be a holodeck thing, or it's going to be, a being taking the form. But in Doctor Who, you just don't know. It could have been anything. And I think coming after Series 8, where you'd had the whole thing with Robin Hood, where the Doctor was adamant that Robin Hood wasn't real, but then he was, and it became this thing where he mirrored the Doctor in terms of being this impossible hero and how it was okay to believe in impossible heroes, which, as a 40-year-old Doctor Who fan who takes Doctor Who far too seriously, I really resonated with the message of Robin Hood. And there's a little bit of that at the start of this episode as well, where Clara, the Doctor says to Clara, when did you start believing in fairy tales, or something like that? And it's, it's she does because she's friends with the Doctor. So I really liked the uncertainty the very first time I remember watching it on Christmas Day of, what are they going to do here? Is it going to be Santa? So yeah, that side of it I liked. I love the dream crabs and the layered dreams. I think at the time a lot of people were saying, well, this is a rip-off of Inception, but it's not. Inception wasn't the first story to do that kind of layered dreams, and also everyone's even had the experience of waking up in a dream, and not in a dream. So other than that one idea, the story doesn't bear any resemblance to it. And I think there's a really clever thing in here as well, where the clue that Santa isn't real, he interacts with all the characters differently. So when he's speaking to the Doctor, he almost speaks like an equal, and he says, you've seen them before, they're the Cantrafari, they're this. When he's talking to Clara, he's sort of lying. He's when they first meet on the rooftop, he's saying, I'm not Santa. And that was Clara's kind of arc in Series 8, where, about lying and all that kind of stuff, and culminating in Death in Heaven, where she lies to the Doctor about Danny being alive, and vice versa about Gallifrey. And then when she's talking to sort of Ashley and Shona, it's all kind of sassy, and it's like a really modern attitude, and it's like My Little Pony and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was very cleverly done in it. So yeah, I get a lot out of it. I think it's a really cool story.
I like the sci-fi aspects of it, and it's a very heavy 80s sci-fi, which is, I was in my, I think a lot for sci-fi nerds, the 80s and the early 90s is this golden era of science fiction and film. You've got Thing, you've got John Carpenter, The Thing, They Live, Aliens, the basic, which is basically a lot of 80s science fiction could be a Troughton Doctor Who, because a lot of them are based space stations under siege, and there are a ton of them, and I kind of like that, and I like that it was light. I like the idea of dreams a great deal, especially when you see the people wake up and see what lives they live in and why they dreamed of something more. Ashley, who's their leader in the base, but she's just a perfume salesperson. I'm smart, I could be something more. The grandmother is, paralyzed. And Shauna she's just like every nerd. She's Moffat, she's all of us as a teenager. Especially, it really reminded me of me in my 20s, being your Christmas is I'm going to watch Aliens or something, when you're living alone and you're in your 20s. What is Christmas when you're in your 20s and you don't have money and you're you're living on your own for the first time? It's just kind of sitting around and, and goof off. I thought the woman who plays Shauna was really good. I love that dance. I do kind of like her walking into that Christmas song. Is that the one? Is it one of those ones? Is it from Say Anything or whatever that? Oh crap! I'm blanking on it. I don't remember. It's not a Christmas song. I remember it really from this one.
It's a big one over here.
Yeah.
It's over here. It's one that you'd hear.
Love it.
If you work in retail, it goes on about November the 12th, and then you've got to listen to it 6 times a day for 9 weeks. So everyone hates it thoroughly.
Yeah.
And,
oh my God!
Faye Marsay choreographed that dance herself. She came up with it.
I can see it's good because it's fun.
I
it's
thought
really
she'd
fun.
just learned it from Ricky Gervais, maybe.
No, because she's a great character. She's one of those ones that's and this is what I asked, because Clara was supposed to die of old age in this. And then they decided that I'll stick around for another year. Because changing companions, I can understand that. It's like Moffat's going, that means I've got to create a companion. I've got to spend 3 episodes introducing them. I don't have an idea for a new companion. That's why I think she stuck around that long, because it's like Donna. Davies was going to create a new character, and then Catherine Tate said, "I'll do a year." Then he went, "Oh, thank God, I don't have to introduce you. I just have to give you an episode. I don't have to go." That's because how many companions have we had in the history of Doctor Who now? 60. And loads. Yeah. And at the end, in the end of the original run, they were kind of cookie cutter. They didn't really flesh them out. But in modern Who, you can't do that. And I think Janet Coleman, because he didn't know what she wanted to do with her. I like her as a companion. I don't think she's the problem in any way with the era. People will go, she's a plot device. I said all characters are plot devices.
Yeah, I think Clara's one of the best companions we ever had. I do think Faye Marson would have also been one of the best companions, because there's something so lovable about her.
Her and Capaldi, her and Capaldi would have been great together.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm like. She's that missing companion. And I do agree. I think Clara's a very good companion. She's better with Capaldi than she is with Smith a bit.
Yeah.
Because I like one of my favorite lines is, "She's my carer, so I don't have to." Because I kind of like that, the arc that I like the arc that Moffat gives him.
He's delegated his kind of emotional warmth to someone else, so he can just, Yeah. I think we've all done that.
Oh yeah. I joke that my wife is that. My wife's the one who's going to be nice to people. I'm not. But, I love her in it. I think she's great. I think she would have been an amazing companion. And I think she goes on that list of, we missed a good one.
Yeah.
And I love Bill.
Yeah,
would be the-
Bill was another I think Bill was probably my favourite companion of the modern era, or possibly second favourite after Jenna Coleman. It's those two for me.
I do. Yeah, I get that.
So he obviously just had a really good eye. Well, not necessarily himself, but someone had a really good eye for casting.
Andy Pryor,
people.
there's a reason.
Right.
There's a reason they have not hired anyone else, because his track record isn't. You may not like. You could be a Who fan and may not like an era, but I don't think anybody dislikes any of the Doctors. You know, I mean, I get burnout on actors like Tennant and Tom Baker. I get burnout on them.
Yeah.
And I also, the little bit of Scott I got in me is like, I will be the, you know, if someone's a more popular one, I'm going to like the other one. Be the contrarian. But I mean, I liked Kennedy. I like Eccleston. I loved Matt Smith from like the first time he opened his mouth.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, you understand this. You're 25 years old and you get this. And that, you know, and then when he was on The Crown, Vic had to text me when she was watching his, I didn't think he could stand still. And he had to play Philip, and he had to stand there rigid with a stick up his butt. And she was like, literally, I did not think he could stand still. You know what?
I imagine they did it with effects.
Because he's such a spaz in everything else he does. So, but I liked the sci-fi aspect of it. You know, it wasn't, you know, too heavy-handed. And I honestly, one of the scenes I really liked in this, because the one thing I like about Danny Pink is how he talked to the Doctor. Right. I like that when he says, "Oh, you're a Time Lord. You like telling people what to do." And when the Doctor goes, "Oh, Danny died saving the world," and he goes, "I didn't save the world. I saved Clara. The rest of y'all just got lucky."
Yeah, that was a great line.
It is a great line because the Doctor, you know, and he does it, you know. He said, and it's not the first time a version of Danny has told the Doctor off, and I like it. And being the son of a soldier, you know, of a Marine, and growing up around those people, they're not doing it for king and country, or you know, they're doing it mostly. It's like I'm alive, but you know, I was heroic because it was the only way I stayed alive. I wasn't fighting for my country. I was fighting for the guy next to me and myself, so we could go home. Because you just dropped me in a shithole. So I you know, and asked me to do some really bad stuff. So my only goal is to stay alive.
Yeah. I think with this one though, I mean, so, you know, we yet again we've got this animosity between the Doctor and Danny because the Doctor doesn't like soldiers, apart from his best friend, the Brigadier. He likes the Brigadier, but he doesn't like other soldiers. And I just wonder if Christmas Day with a new audience was really the time to add an extra sort of coda onto the Danny and Clara story. I mean, obviously, as a fan of the show, then it's great to have that extra kind of payoff between them. But for the new viewers on Christmas Day, it would have meant very little, and I don't know if it was the right thing to do.
I think from context, you'd immediately pick up, because they've already had the discussion about how she lied about Danny surviving. And it's a relatively short amount of the episode as well, I think. And it is, for me, again, as a fan, it's the perfect kind of goodbye and culmination of that storyline. I think it's really, really well done without being over the top. It is a nice kind of farewell for him.
I think it would be appropriate if she doesn't come back. It feels a little unnecessary because you're bringing her back.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
You know, if she's not coming back, Danny saying, "I saved her life," and then you get to see that she lived a long and happy life, and his sacrifice was worth it. On emotion, I think that's doesn't you, Ian? You don't see it as not necessary. You know, some viewers are just going to roll off them. To me, I like the moment because it's one of the favorite. The only thing I really like about Danny is Danny's chemistry with the Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I think it was great. I just think on Christmas Day you have to stop aiming the show at people that know the show. Yeah. You're trying to show something that anyone can follow, and if you know you've never turned it on before, and it's like the anecdote I always tell about the first time my now wife watched Doctor Who was I came to visit her in Seattle at Christmas time 2017, and it was the one with the First Doctor and the 12th Doctor, and I can never remember what it's called. And we watched it because I couldn't wait. It was Christmas Day. It was, the equivalent of 7 o'clock in the UK. And I was like, I have to watch this program. And she's like, oh, I'll watch it with you. And I was like, And so there's these two old white dudes talking to each other for an hour. And then one of them turns into a lady and the police box blows up and the show finished. And she said, yeah, I have questions. And I had to then spend half an hour kind of explaining the previous 60 years of the show. And the tiny part that we've all got that believes the show could be cancelled like that at any moment worries that if something's not accessible to everyone on Christmas Day, then that's going to be the final nail in the coffin. Which is a ridiculous fear, but it's my fear.
Well,
yeah, I always think about that because you can't, and a lot of fans have this fear, but because I can't control it, I just kind of think, well, just let it go out. And I think where people do worry about references to things that from the past that might alienate viewers, I kind of think, well, I watch a load of American stuff which has cultural references that mean nothing to me and go over my head, but it doesn't really impact on my enjoyment or something. I'll just kind of either work it out from context or just ignore it, and it mostly doesn't impact the story. Obviously, I suppose Twice Upon a Time is a very example, but a regeneration story, maybe this ties into what you were saying earlier, Ross, about regeneration stories not being an ideal Christmas thing because it's the culmination of a Doctor's era and in some cases a showrunner's era. So it rarely will be, I suppose, that standalone ideal Christmas accessible thing, will it?
Yeah, it is, and that's, I think, the problem with it is. I think the accessibility, it should be, if you're going to do them, if you want to make it accessible, it has to be a one and done. The most you get of an introduction to him is the box lance. He meets a stranger, the greengrocer, whoever he's going to turn into a soldier to battle the monster. One scene where he explains who the hell he is, and then go about the adventure and hope, oh, I like this actor. I mean, because that's how most people is. They get hooked on a doctor, and that brings them in, and then they meet another doctor, and they get sad, and then 2 or 3 episodes in, they go, oh, this guy's good, I like him, or this lady's good, I like him. But yeah, I mean, none of them hold up as Christmas specials, and I don't think very few. I think A Christmas Carol, the Narnia one that I do like, is like that. And I can't even, like, Christmas Invasion, it's not accessible because he's regenerating. He's already regenerated, but you have to have the regeneration story. I think that one works better because it's mostly about Rose, Mickey, and Jackie, and he doesn't really come in until the end.
Some of my non-fan friends really responded to that one, though, having not really been interested in Series 1. They watched Christmas Invasion and really responded well to it. So, I suppose it's difficult to judge, isn't it?
Yeah, because they're surrogates, because the companion is our surrogate in the story. So the story's about the surrogate. It's about you. And I think that's why that works. And I think the Christmas Carol works, one, because, I can watch 1,000 versions of the Christmas Carol. There are a lot I like. I have to watch the Alistair Sim one every year because that's my favorite. But, I'll watch the Mickey Mouse one, or, the Once in a Blue Moon if it's on, the Mr. Magoo one. There are tons of them. So, but that one's accessible because we all know the story. And that
earlier in the Doctor's, and this one, I suppose, it's earlier in that Doctor and that showrunner's reign as well, isn't it? Like you say, the regeneration stories, there's a weight to them.
Yeah.
Whereas these ones, it's new and fresh, and it's
I think the best example of how they don't work is End of Time, because that's a heavy, dark story, and it's my least favorite regeneration of all time. It's
mine too.
It is heavy-handed. It's just superpowered master pisses me off. It really, it's like he flies. Nah, I'm a superhero person. I read comic books, and I was like, this is
stay
stupid.
In your lanes,
Yeah, But I love the one. I love Dr. Mysterio.
Yeah, I love that one too.
That one's fun. It's silly. It's got a great guest cast. I love the Husbands of River Song. because I think I like I love the moments they give Capaldi and her in it. I mean, it's a little heavy-handed, but it's still just a Christmas, It's set at Christmas, but, it doesn't have... The only heavy thing is it's finishing, we're going to tie up River's story. Yeah, right. Big Finish is still tying up River's story. But, but those ones I enjoy. Especially, I really do like the Dr. Mysterio, because it's Christmas and it's comic books. So...
And that one, it was kind of in the middle of like a big gap between seasons, so it doesn't have any ongoing elements at all, does it? That is a pure standalone story, Dr. Mysterio.
Yeah, and it's because we had two episodes back to back that were Christmas specials because there was nothing in the year between, and it had Nardole in it. I think Nardole I really liked. Nardole grew on me, and I really do love him.
And Matt Lucas is a big name here that would be a bit of a draw in the UK, I think, to new viewers as well.
Yeah, I didn't know him. I knew Greg Davies because I'm a big stand-up fan, and I love his stand-up. And I watch 8 out of 10. During the pandemic, I went down a rabbit hole of your all's panel shows like QI and 8 out of 10 Cats. 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown, and I love him when he's on Graham Norton because he will tell an inappropriate story.
He's got a new sitcom. The second series is being broadcast here at the moment called The Cleaner.
Yeah, it's on BritBox here. I haven't watched the first episode. I liked it. I do enjoy him, and I've watched some of his previous sitcom where he played this teacher.
Yeah,
what, the In-Betweeners?
Yeah, no, one after that.
Man Overboard or something like that.
Man Overboard, yeah, where he's
something like that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's him and I can't forget the other actress, the other comedian name, her name, but yeah, but. So do you guys?
The Cleaner's quite good. It's like a pandemic thing where it's a lot of just two-handers with another kind of comedic actor. So there's some of those are just very, very good.
Oh, is that why The Cleaner's like that? It's just that there are only a couple people because they just have fewer people on set.
Yeah, I think particularly the first series. Yeah, but they had some great names like Helena Bonham Carter and people like that were turned up in it, and really nice dialogue and good little stories.
Yeah. Well, I saw him interviewed about it, that he freaked out when they got Helena Bonham Carter. But, so, let's go ahead and wrap this up, because is there anything you really,
Can I have my 2 penneth?
Oh, yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
So, I thought the sci-fi element was just like watching an old episode of Red Dwarf, and I couldn't be doing with Dan Starkey's constant gurning and smug expressions. And I thought most of it was kind of, childish and a bit annoying. But the genius of the episode is the line about every Christmas is someone's last Christmas. And the first time I saw this episode, it made me think about the last Christmas I got with my mum, and it made me cry for about an hour. And every time I watch this episode subsequently, as part of a watch through or whatever, even though it's not one that I particularly like, I will still, by the end of it, I will be lying on the sofa on my side with tears pouring out of me. Yeah. I'm kind of, shameless and crap like that. But I thought that was a really beautiful idea and conceit and a wonderful moment. And one of the very few emotional moments for me in the Capaldi era as a whole.
I get that. Now that you mention, I remember hearing that, and I'm the type of person I don't cry at tearjerker stuff, but it's the small sentimental stuff like that. You guys may not have seen it because it's baseball. But there's a scene in a movie called Field of Dreams, based on a novel, and the last end of where a guy's haunted and told to build a baseball field, and it's only not for all these old players who were disgraced and died, were kicked out of baseball, and giving them a second chance, but it's also so he can say goodbye to his dead father. And the line when the ghost of his dad lets on that he knows who Kevin Costner's character is, he goes, "Would you like to have a catch?" And every time I see that movie, I think about my dad, even when my dad was alive, because there were times, I didn't get along. I got along with him, but we weren't as close as other. I'm from a big family, and I'm, weren't as close as other families. But it gets me, and that one's I like. That is a very good moment, and I think Moffat at times is very good with those moments. But it does. I'd forgotten about it until you just mentioned it, because this watch I was really paying attention to other things. And sometimes rewatching for the podcast you don't miss it, but that's a good point. I do it is a good moment. It is a good moment, and should these Christmas specials be more about those moments. I think they'd be better if they were more about why we celebrate Christmas. I'm an agnostic. I don't believe in any of the religious aspects of it, but that's the one religious holiday I still celebrate. But not for any of the religious reasons, just for like having a meal with my in-laws and my wife, and that's about it.
And
I think that's the thing that does draw everyone together, isn't it? Whether you're atheist or whatever, it is about having time off together and that kind of thing. I think, you're absolutely right. That is a really powerful element of it. And I suppose within the story itself, had it been Clara's last story, again, it would have had more resonance.
Yeah.
I'd have been broken if that had been Clara's oh man.
But it's a good. See, I think it would have been a good ending because she had a long, good life. I like the idea of him meeting old Claire and forgiving him. That absolution that we don't have enough forgiveness in the world, but for her to go, it's okay.
Yeah. And I just realised that obviously, given what does happen to Clara, and she didn't get that long life, that does add an extra layer of sorrow to the sad pie, the sad festive pie of this Christmas special.
Yeah, but I think that would be kind of
fault. Peter Capaldi talked her into staying when they did that sort of world tour to promote Series 8 internationally. It was on that tour that he persuaded Jenna Coleman to stay. So it's all Peter Capaldi's fault.
Well, I bet he was like, I've got someone I trust. I don't, because I don't think he's ever going to do anything else with who. He'll be an ambassador. He'll always sing its praises and that, but he's never putting the costume back on.
No,
I don't.
I live in hope.
I would like. I mean, I went to a con a couple weeks ago, and Tennant was the guest, and he confirmed, yes, there are 3 specials. So basically, from the 23rd until Christmas Day, we've got 4 weeks of New Who. So who knows? I mean, Davies isn't as good at keeping secrets as, say, Capaldi was. Not Capaldi. Chibnall was. Mm-hmm. But, maybe we'll, who knows? They brought back Tennant and said he's a different doctor, and I'm on board. We'll see. But, yeah, I just think it would have been, I really do like the old Claire. I think it just would have been it would have been a better ending than the sad ending in the episode before. Because that was a really heavy, and I think he knew that she was going to be in the. Moffat went, yeah, she's in the Christmas. We'll give that. So, but and I don't really like her goodbye either. Turning the companions into superpowered beings and sending them off into the universe in their own time machine is a little.
Yeah, she's like a time zombie.
Yeah. It's like, I think you need to have them have an ending. I like the fact that, like when they bring Sarah Jane back, that she felt abandoned. I like that aspect is sometimes that they walk away, because I still think Martha has the best exit. Because he tells them that I'm leaving for them. I'm not so codependent on you, so. All right. All right, guys. Well, we're wrapping this up. I thank you guys for coming in. Ian, I'll let you go first because you got a longer list of stuff to plug.
Maybe it's like I'm back in an international sales job for a major publisher, and I've got about 200 books to get through in half an hour. I thank you for inviting me. Firstly, it's been lovely to chat to everyone. You can listen to me on All of Time and Space with the lovely Mark Cockram. You can listen to me on We're All Stories in the End, which is all about the Virgin New Adventures and the BBC 8 Doctor books. And my comedy podcast that I do with my best friend is called the Electric Sodcast.
Very good. Fun, all good shows. I jump in and out because I just had to stop listening to Doctor Who podcasts except for like Mark's and yours. You and Matt, both.
It
yours
turns
and
out
us.
there's quite a few of them out there, yeah.
Yeah. I took a break and started listening to some true crime just to kind of cleanse my palate. So Mark.
Which is quite a thought, isn't it? Dismemberment and murder.
Well, no, it's one specifically about people's disappearances, famous people who famous disappearances. So. But Mark, go. Let us know where people can hear you.
Yeah, so on the Track One podcast, it's quiet at the moment. I think the first half of 2023, because our sort of remit is we look at new things that are being released, whether it's the books or the big finishes, the episodes or the collections and things. So we've got a Series 9 collection review coming up. We're going to also be doing a thread of an episode on each of the anniversary specials from the Three Doctors up to the Day of the Doctor and Light at the End. So we're looking at all sorts of things in there as well.
Oh, cool.
And we'll be looking at the Big Finish 60th series, Once and Future, and everything else that's due to come out this year, the new Target books and everything else. And we're starting to record again soon on Maximum Power, the Blake 7 podcast. So look out for the third series of that coming back as well.
I want to listen to it, but I've only watched Blake 7 once, like at the beginning of the pandemic. I tried years before and not gotten into it, but I not muscled through, but I sat down and watched it and went, oh no, you just didn't give it a chance. You're expecting something very Doctor Who-y, and it is not.
I've not even watched Blake 7 all the way through once yet, but that's an unmissable podcast. Maximum Power, I love it.
I keep playing and saying, I'll watch an episode, listen to an episode. I'll watch an episode, listen to an episode. So I have some, because I can listen to a podcast of a Doctor Who. I listen to Joe and Nathan on Untitled Star Trek, and you're supposed to it's a watch along, but I don't need to watch along because you've seen them all, And with Hamster, I don't need to be watching the episodes Joe and his guests are talking about because they're ingrained in my brain. They're never. When I get old and have dementia, all I'm going to remember is Doctor Who plots.
Well, Blake 7, I've never seen it before, so my role on the podcast is as somebody who is just watching the episode for the first time without any knowledge of what comes next. So whereas everyone else is sort of a diehard fan, my role is to kind of make predictions based on what's going to happen and always be wrong, really.
All right, folks. Well, again, gentlemen, thank you. Folks, you can catch us every 2 weeks here, me and guests for the next few months. Guests every other week with Gallifrey's Most Wanted, and every once in a while, me and Mark are still scheduling our next comic one. We're going to be covering Voyager, 6th Doctor story. I'm looking forward to it because I do like that era of the comic. And we look forward to seeing you somewhere in time or space.